I have some more breaking news in Washington. An interesting little nugget of information here, because the company behind Truth Social, that's where the president does most of his posting these days, now plans to sell what it's calling the fastest access to the president's posts to banks and some other financial services firms. Remember, the president frequently will post something that literally moves the markets, right? I mean, think about it. Something on the war against Iran. We see oil prices jump or drop or whatever. A ceasefire, whatever the case may be, that can actually create a real impact on Wall Street. That's part of what makes this so fascinating. Let me bring in Brian Cheung, who's kind of unpacking this for us. So two questions here. Is this, in fact, the monetization of the president's feed? And is it totally unusual? Or are other companies doing this kind of thing, too? Help us understand this.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is a monetization of the president's feeds, but it's not unusual because Wall Street does this in other aspects. Let me just kind of walk you through exactly what Truth Social announced here. So what they said they're going to offer companies is selling them the rights to what they call an API. Basically, it's just kind of the tech lingo for getting the direct access to Truth Social data. So when the president posts something on Truth Social, which is kind of the way that he governs these days by posting updates on his own social media platform, whoever pays for this so-called API would get that notification faster than everybody else that then has to either refresh the Truth Social page or wait for a push notification to hit their phone before they find out what the president says. So again, just to reiterate, this is not anyone getting Truth Socials before they've been posted. It's just after they've been posted, whoever pays for the API would get that notification faster than essentially anybody else would, who normally has to resort to manual methods.
So let me say that the company says that this Truth API system, I'm gonna read this here, I'm looking at my thing, closes the gap for organizations that place a premium on immediate verified access to information. We should note the Trump family is the largest shareholder in Truth Social's publicly traded owner. Why would a financial services place, why would they want this?
Yeah, well, look, and it might not just be financial services companies, but if you think about who would want this information as fast as possible, it's probably going to be banks and maybe national security firms that just want to know very quickly when the president says he's going to change his stance on a certain policy or do something that maybe they weren't expecting. Again, the idea here is that if they could even get a few milliseconds of a heads up compared to everybody else that has to refresh the page or wait for a push notification, that could result in big time money that these firms would be able to make by, let's say, if you're a bank, trading a certain position or unwinding a certain position. And I should point out that Wall Street already has this. There was a great Michael Lewis book called Flash Boys that details what they call high-frequency trading, where you have some banks that actually tried to change the physical infrastructure to get fiber optic cable that could get data to them faster, so they knew that a barrel of oil or a certain stock was trading a few milliseconds before another firm found out. So this is a standard from the industry standpoint, but it does raise questions about the types of firms that would be paying money to Trump media, given that the Trump family is a big shareholder in that particular company. That is a unique aspect of this story.
Brian Cheung, glad to have you on it. Thank you very much.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.